Last time, on Guns and Glitter, Grace and Ben barely escaped from the police with Keera's help. Grace let Keera in on her plans to become a drug dealer. Welcome to CC Writes. My name is CC Lepki, and today I'm sharing part 18 of my story, Guns and Glitter. Keera's eyes might have popped out of her head, they were so round. Grace quickly took the packets back and deposited them into her purse once more. "Where did you get so much?" The words came out of Keera's mouth like a breath. "I found it. When we found the girls." "And you thought what? You were just gonna become a drug dealer? Like it's that easy?" "Yeah, I did." Keera placed her shaking hand over her mouth and shook her head in disbelief. "Grace, this is bad. You could go to jail for a long time." "Maybe. But if I'm careful, there is no careful, Grace. This is stupid. You're crazy." Keera stomped away toward the motel. Grace followed listlessly, worried that she would once again get thrown out on the street because of her desperate decision-making process. Thankfully, Keera held the door open for her, then slammed it behind them as they entered the room. "You guys, Grace is dumber than we thought." Keera threw herself onto the bed and dramatically covered her face with a pillow. "Why are you doing this to me? I thought we were done with the crazy criminal stuff." "Criminal?" Anne sat on the edge of the bed, clipping her toenails, much to Tina's disgust. "What did you do?" Grace blushed and ran her fingers through her hair. "I found some drugs at the house where we rescued you, and I took them." Helen made a face at her through the mirror where she meticulously worked on her hair. "So what, you're a druggie now?" "I don't mean I used the drugs. I just stole them." Tina stopped watching Anne's toenail clippings fly over the floor. Her eyes locked with Grace's, and her mouth dropped open slightly. "Oh, Grace, no." "Why not? They weren't going to use them." Helen stopped working on her hair. She turned around with a raised eyebrow, perfectly plucked and darkened with eyeliner. But she didn't say anything. Her expression was inscrutable. Grace shifted under her blue eyes, suddenly worried about what the woman might think of her. "They had a boss. Aren't you afraid he'll come looking for the drugs?" Tina's whispery voice shook. "Yes, exactly, this." Anne waved an arm emphatically in Tina's direction. "And it's pretty clear that you don't know enough about drugs to even understand how much it's worth." Keera took the pillow off of her face and threw it at Helen, who expertly blocked it without bothering to glance at Keera. "That too." Anna abandoned the work on her feet and turned to face Grace squarely. "This is dangerous. You don't even know what you're doing." "And you almost got caught today already." Keera sat up. "Grace, this whole thing seems like a really bad idea." "Unless you have a plan." Helen watched Grace's face. "Unless you can come up with a really great way to sell drugs without putting any of us at risk." She looked at Keera. "Because obviously you have someone here who can help you figure out what it's worth." Her eyes locked with Tina's. "And you have a couple of people who you can rely on to help. So if you have a way..." She didn't have a way. But she also didn't want to let the girls down. Theoretically, they could make a lot of money off of the drugs. But Benjamin's method of peddling was way too dangerous. Walking the streets would put everyone at too much risk. Plus, she wouldn't be able to sell much at a time if she always had to keep moving. And there were rival dealers all over the place. Multiple dealers meant a saturated market, which would lower the value of her wares. A mobile storefront also meant less traffic to get possible clients. And if Benjamin was right about Frankie being someone she didn't want to cross, it also limited who she had access to as potential clients. There was no way she could safely reach high-paying clients in the areas where she had access. Helen shifted on her feet, waiting for an answer. The light caught on a hint of body glitter on the woman's collarbone. She was obviously getting ready for work. Grace's eyes stuck on the glitter. A smile tugged at her lips. Maybe the market was diffuse on the streets, but what if she was able to offer the drugs as part of an experience? After all, that's what a strip club offered more than anything else. Men could get women to undress for them, or even pay for their services privately. But a gentleman's club offered something more. A place where they could be a part of something. The club. Grace looked around at each of the other women, her smile widening. We already know the men, so there's less chance of accidentally selling to a police officer. We can claim the money we make as tips. It keeps us out of the way of rival dealers. We'll have complete control of the market. Tina tapped her fingers slowly against her thigh. What does that mean? Why is control of the market a good thing? It means we can sell it as an experience. Grace crossed the room and stretched out next to Keera. It doesn't matter what the drugs are worth. They'll pay whatever we ask. Keera locked her elbow with Grace's and leaned her head on the much smaller woman's shoulder. How much do we have? Just what's in your purse? Helen laughed and shook her head. Before Grace had a chance to answer, she pulled Grace's duffel bag out of the closet and unzipped it in front of the other women. 6 kilos. She smiled indulgently when Grace glared. You knew? I was there the longest. I knew they kept drugs there. I thought you were a drug addict, though. Helen shrugged. Keera laughed. Prim and proper Grace, the ravenous junkie. Anna giggled as well, and even shy Tina let a smile tug at the corner of one lip. So are we doing this then? Grace looked around at each of the women. Will you help me? They were silent. The weight of Grace's question bore down on the room. Finally, Keera placed a hand on Grace's knee and looked up at Helen with a smirk. I'm in. I can't. Anna looked down. I can't work at the club. Her eyes were wide and frightened. Grace held out an arm and beckoned the woman onto the bed. She hugged Anna tight around her head. I won't ask what you can't do. Anna nodded and wiped her eyes. Helen carefully turned back to the mirror and fluffed up her hair. I'm with you, boss. I'm sick of playing by everyone else's rules. Time to make some new ones of our own. Thanks for watching CC Writes. I hope you enjoyed your time with me today. If you'd like to support my work, you can find my books on Amazon.com. You can also support me by making a donation to the CC Writes Patreon page. There are links in the description below. For more everyday content about my life, my thoughts on writing, and my dog, find me on Twitter at @CCLepkiWrites. And finally, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button so you'll know when the next video comes out. See you later!